The thing is that human beings, you, are a complicated, multifaceted person. But that is kind of too much for a YouTube channel, right? If you think about a television show, we don't know every single thing about the leading character. We know the things that make the most sense for the story, right? So as the director of your channel, you need to think about which characteristics of yourself help push the story forward. Many people still think of YouTube as the home of DIY content and vlogs. And yes, there is a lot of that content here, but YouTube is also the #1 TV streaming platform and is considered to be a major content destination. But that means that you need to elevate your storytelling to appeal to an audience that is used to professional grade television-like storytelling. So you are not just the leading character of your channel, you are also the director. So how can you direct yourself? Let's talk about it. When writing a leading character for television and film, you are usually trying to make a two-dimensional character feel three-dimensional. And oftentimes the writer fills in that dimension with their own personality. And then when the show gets into production or the movie gets into production, the actor will do that, will fill that in. But one of the tools that a director uses is distilling that character down to a 1 to 2 sentence description. YouTube is actually a little bit different because you actually have 2 three-dimensional characters in your scene. You have your viewer, who's a complete, full human being, and actually a very interesting human being because they have a problem that they're seeking out a solution to, so they're an active character. And then you have you, who hopefully, unless you're AI, you are also a three-dimensional character. So for you as the director of your own character, the job is not to create a three-dimensional character, but it is to choose the aspects of you as a very complicated, interesting, multifaceted human being that you are going to distill down to that 2-sentence character description. There are many archetypes that show creators use to create characters, and they can definitely be helpful, but just be careful. You don't want to reduce yourself to a trope. So here are some examples of character descriptions. Katniss Everdeen, a teenage girl with the weight of the world on her shoulders, who is driven by her passion for children and for the less fortunate. Bridget Jones, an engagingly imperfect television producer who is managing her professional life, but is a mess at her love life. And probably also her life as well. Mabel Mora from Only Murders in the Building, a dry-witted millennial with trauma. I think that's a good one. Erin Brockovich, a scrappy single mom with no money and no filter who wants to beat the system. And how about me? I am a sassy, type A digital producer who is good at producing and directing others, but does not know how to be a personal brand. Now I want you to take that model and I want you to create a 1 to 2 sentence character description for yourself. And here are the things you want to mix and match to try to create that character description. A key aspect of your identity, a quirk, something about you that is unique and identifiable and specific to you, your niche or your topic, and a little bit of personality. Before I go any further, I just wanted to let you know that I created a free storytelling workbook with 16 storytelling prompts that will help you authentically weave your own personal narrative into your videos, and that will help you have an emotional connection with your viewers. So grab it for free at the link in my description. The next step in directing yourself is to figure out how you want to express your character. Identity is really the demographics. It's your basic information like your age, your gender identity, your location, your occupation. It's really just kind of data. There's really not much you could change about that. That kind of just is who you are. Those are your demographics. It's kind of what, if you had a television show, would be what the network gives you. And the real key as a director is not in changing those things, they are what they are, but it is in figuring out which of those identity aspects you want to focus on your channel. For instance, some people, their age is extremely important. It's a part of their narrative. It's a part of their story. So they are highlighting that aspect of their identity. But for other creators, their age is irrelevant. So it's really not a part of their story, and they're not highlighting it on their channel. So what you want to do as the director of your YouTube channel is you want to make a list of all of these characteristics about yourself, all of these identity characteristics, and figure out who your viewer is, and then figure out which of those characteristics help your viewer connect to you as the leading character of your channel, and then that is what you want to highlight on your channel. Now let's talk about quirks, because it is my favorite part of creating a character. When I'm writing characters, when I'm directing characters, it's the part that just gets me all excited. When I'm able to create these quirky, unique specificities within a character that I'm writing, I am just smiling and I'm so excited about it. And then when I'm on set and I watch an actor bring that to a character that I wrote, and they take something on the page and they fill it with just unique behaviors, it just makes it so much more interesting. Maybe it's your relatability, I mean, that can be a quirk if you're extremely relatable. Maybe it's your neurodivergence. Maybe it's your disability. Maybe it's that you're a fish out of water in a unique situation, or you're in a new country or something. These are the things that become your trademark, and they should be in every one of your videos that you're making, and also should probably be in your description. So how can you bring quirks into your channel? Well, let's look at some creators that do this very well. One creator that I really like, that I think brings a really unique, fresh perspective to legal content, is Emily D. Baker. Let's just look at her about description, because she's putting it front and center, which is, I break down the legal shit behind the stories we all talk about, right? We get it right from the start. We get who she is. We get that she's a quirky personality. Then you add to it that she's got this purple hair and she doesn't look like a lawyer. She doesn't look like a lawyer, and she is a lawyer. I don't think she practices anymore, but she is a lawyer. And so that is her quirk, right? She is the lawyer that's going to tell it to you straight. She's the purple-haired lawyer who gets on YouTube and breaks down all of the legal cases. And that is what makes her memorable. And that is the kind of thing that you're looking for on your channel. Another channel that I think does this really well is a channel called Midlife Anti-Crisis. So let's take a look at her description. Her description says, "Welcome to the channel where midlife gets a makeover. No rules, no apologies, just a lot of figuring out as we go." I mean, that's great. Like, you get a total sense of who she is and what the vibe of this channel is, right? She's going to be looking at retirement in a different way. You know, she's not going to have any filter about it, and she's not going to be looking at it in the way that you have seen before, right? That's her voice. And she also depicts that in the way that her content is filmed. She's usually filming in her home. You see a lot of her home, and it feels very authentic and real and true to her. Sometimes she's filming in her car, sometimes she's filming in other places, but it feels unfiltered, and that really fits the unique perspective, the unfiltered perspective that she is giving on her channel. Daniel Batal is another creator that I really like. He makes videos about editing in DaVinci Resolve, but if you look at him, he's a rocker, right? He's a musician. He's got a musician vibe. He's got long hair. He's got guitars on his wall. You know, it's like you're definitely getting a different take about DaVinci Resolve from him. You know, he's not just sitting at his computer and sharing his screen and just walking you through DaVinci Resolve. He's this rocker guy with guitars on his wall, and he's walking you through how to use DaVinci Resolve. And he's got a very kind of chill vibe as well, you know, where he's just kind of a musician. I grew up around musicians. There's musicians all around my family, and he's definitely got that musician vibe. So it makes him stand out amongst all of the other creators that are making content about editing. He's going to be doing it in a way that is a trademark, that's different than any other creator in that space. Another creator that really captures this as well is Rob the Maritimer, and he does it right, you know, right in his name, right? Rob the Maritimer. You're already getting a vibe, right? You're already got a vibe over who this guy is. He's just an everyday guy, and you know, I guess the one question from his title is like, what is he going to be talking about? Maritiming? I don't even know what maritiming is actually, but is that what he's going to be talking about? Well, no. When you look at his description, you find out that he's actually making content for creators over 40 who are trying to figure out how to make YouTube content. One of the things that I have noticed about Rob, he really leans into that Rob the Maritimer vibe, is that he a lot of times will film outside, and he'll be, you know, walking around, or he's, I don't like, where are Maritimers? Like, I don't know, but he's in the maritiming location, right? Like, he's in the vibe. Like, he's creating this visual look around himself that he's just that guy, you know? He's just that everyday guy from Canada, from Nova Scotia, and he's gonna tell you how to make videos, right? And so there's a warmth and a comfort and relatability that comes from every aspect of the way that he's packaging himself. These quirks is ultimately what makes your viewer connect to you. It's why they're watching your video about any given subject instead of somebody else. So when we think about personal style, if we're making a TV show, you would have your wardrobe department, you would have your makeup and hair, and you would be making choices about how that character looks, right? You'd be making choices about their wardrobe, their costume, how they dress. Is it business? Is it vintage? Is it quirky? Is it athleisure? You know, you're making those choices about how that character looks. And then you have the hair, and, you know, whether or not that you're wearing a wig. Are you using your natural hair? Is your hair straight? Is it curly? How are you styling it? And then, you know, is that character wearing glasses? Is the character not wearing glasses? Is the character wearing sunglasses? Is the character wearing a hat all the time? As a director of my channel, I would be thinking about that. So here are some creators who have very clear and, I think, intentional personal style. Alex Hormozi. He has blown up in the business sector of social media, but Part of it is because he looks unexpected, right? He doesn't look like a typical business guru, right? He's got a beard. He's kind of like a I don't know, like a Kelsey brother kind of vibe. Like he looks a little like a football player, like kind of like big muscular built. He's a gym rat, obviously. In fact, he had a gym business for a long time. So, and he's kind of also has a delivery, a very blunt delivery, right? So it's makes him stand out in a sea of B2B creators that look like, the next guy over in the cubicle. And then you got that guy, right? The guy that doesn't look like he works in an office. It looks like he's, a retired football player that started his own gym. Like that's what he looks like. And that makes him memorable and stand out amongst the world of business creators. Nikki Saunders is another creator who I think also really gets this really well. She has a vibe, right? She's making content that is primarily about how to use AI. She's her niche is more focused on solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. I think specifically solopreneurs, and it's a lot about using AI. What are the new AI tools? How do you use them to create a successful business? But she's in a baseball cap most of the time and she's got sneakers behind her. Like it's just not the vibe that you would expect from someone that's going to be teaching you how to use AI, right? It's awesome. Like it's very memorable and very unique and makes her stand out from all of the other creators who are making content about how to use AI in your small business. For me as a writer, I am primarily a dialogue writer. That's my main thing. So I find dialogue to be the most powerful tool in making a character feel like a human being. And when you're writing a script, obviously you're creating a human being. So you're trying to make something on the page feel like a living, breathing person. On YouTube, you are a living, breathing person, but you need to figure out a communication style that fits you and also that is effective with your viewer. Additionally, you need to think about your production workflow and setting up a system that allows you to shine and it showcases you in the best way possible. And for some people, that's going to be just turning the camera on and talking freeform. For many people, that's going to be the way that they shine the best. But that only works if you're someone who does not get distracted, someone who could stay on point, someone who can communicate effectively. So that may be a style that works for you, but it may not work for you, and it may not work for your viewer, right? If your viewer is checking out early in your video because you can't make a point because you're talking freeform, then that's not the style for you. Then you can go the complete other direction, which is to use a teleprompter. Either you can use a teleprompter app or an application that has a teleprompter in it, or there's like external teleprompters that you can add to your cameras. You can add to your iPhones or smartphones, or if you have an actual DSLR camera, you can attach it as well. And maybe that is the best approach for you and that communication style works for you. You feel the most natural. A lot of people, that isn't going to work because they're going to look like they're reading and it's going to feel stilted and people are not going to connect to them. I actually, before I bought this camera, I had a different workflow where I filmed on a webcam and I used a teleprompter a lot of the time, and that worked really well. And I come from, I'm a screenwriter, and I also was an actress, so I could read from a teleprompter and make it sound like talking. Sometimes what I would put in the teleprompter was not actually the full script, but I would have, just kind of notes for myself to keep me on track. So that's another approach that could work for you, but it also may not be right for you. Then maybe you're somewhere in between where you write out notes and you look at your notes before you film and you film in chunks. You film this chunk You look at your notes again, you film another chunk, look at your notes again. I know some creators who script everything, but they're not using a teleprompter, but they will read a couple lines, record, look at the camera and record. Then they'll look down, look at the next couple lines, look at the camera and record. And that works for them. So you need to figure out a communication style and a production workflow that gets the most out of you as the leading character. And that is your job as a director. So now you're a director. If you would like more storytelling tips, click on the video that YouTube is recommending for you. Until next time, keep creating, and I will see you soon.